Hello and welcome to our webinar, Go to Market with G2X. Just a few things to keep everything running smoothly today. If you experience any technical issues or have any questions during our program, reach out to me, Mary Ann Brown, in the chat. I'll be happy to help you out. We want today's event to be interactive. If you think of any questions for today's speakers at any point, just type them in the Q&A and they will address them during the webinar. So now please welcome Alexa Choi, the CEO of Forum, and Ron Jones, the CEO of G2X. Ron, take it away.
Thanks, Marianne. Good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate you all taking the time out with us this afternoon. Ron Jones, CEO of G2X. And I want to also introduce Alexa Choi, CEO of Forum, but also as the foremost capture and go-to-market expert that I know in federal contracting. Both Alexa and I have spent many years selling to the government, but as many would agree, she's one of the best in the business. So as the expert, I'm going to have her walk through go-to-market from an actual go-to-market expert perspective, selling to the government. And with that, take it away, Alexa.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Ron. Really appreciate it. I know you'll be jumping in as we go through today, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Let me just pull up the correct screen and we will go ahead and get started. So, Ron, can you let me know if you can see G2X as the screen? We're good?
Yep. All clear.
All right, fantastic. All right, yeah, again, I want to say, thank you for spending your lunch hour with us. This is a really pivotal time for government contracting, and trust me, I've been doing BD capture for almost 20 years. I've never seen so many big changes happen all at once that impact how industry has to show up as a better partner for the government. I mean, with the FAR rewrite and then the VA throwing out FedRAMP and saying you don't need it to bid on cloud contracts and ATO in 60 days. And I mean, it's every time I open the news, I'm just like, what big thing is happening now that's going to change everything? So I'm going to start by just talking a little bit about why BD and capture is super outdated and you need to move into this go-to-market perspective. And also, before I do that, I want to say if you have any questions, pop them into the chat. I'm monitoring it on the side. Marianne or Ron will pop in and ask me them live. So we want this to be like an engaging session. Also, if you had any follow-up questions, we're going to be sending out this out afterwards from a recording perspective, so you'll have that for as well. So in 2020, really, when COVID happened and all of the government went home, because everybody went home, right? Really, the old way of doing BD and capture, old boys club, like really badge into the agency. It's funny, I actually have my old badges. I found them around here, and I had like four of them. We'd badge into the agency. We would go talk to our customers. We would talk to them about their budget, what their needs are. We'd find out what the requirements were, and then we'd, just do this whole under the table sort of thing. And then, COVID happened and we really had to figure out a new way of doing it. Well, then 2025 happened and the entire Monopoly board we were playing got pulled out and replaced with a game of Risk. So I don't know if anybody on here is old enough to have played Risk as a kid. I played a lot of Risk growing up, where you put the little armies on the cards and then you move them around the globe and then you have to roll the dice. And so there's a lot of that going on, moving armies around on cards and rolling dice. Really, actually, these days it's pretty crazy. So, Ron and I have been building G2X and mostly Ron and me more doing of the talking and the selling of G2X about why it matters, and especially why it matters now. So G2X going back in history was really well known for being the leader of the signals that you need to be paying attention to in order to stay on top of the market. Well, nowadays, those signals are everything. You're not just needing to know to stay ahead, you're needing to know to be able to where you're going to move. So we still have a curated intelligence team that puts together that data. But on top of it, Ron and team kind of built out this whole go-to-market platform. It is an entire platform. AI is plugged into it and the pieces that matter. And it should be what lives and stays open every single day in one of your tabs. You can see that I'm not a stranger to tab overload here, and this is only one of my browsers I have open. The other one I think has like 200 tabs open. Why is my computer running slowly? I have no idea. So I'm going to start here on the homepage, and I love this homepage so much because, I mean, not because I, helped ideate it, but because it gives you everything you need in one place. So first things first, contact support. We have a help desk working behind the scenes. So if you have a problem with something, hit this contact support button. It hits a help desk and you will be helped. This is Ask Lumen. This is our go-to-market agent. So if you're not familiar with the word agent means, it's okay. Basically just means you're going to ask the system to do something for you. So if you pop down here and you can see that anything that I put a watch list on, it's giving you some ideas of things that you can ask. And then down here you could say, well, give me some GovCon events that's worth attending, compare these opportunities, compare these contract vehicles, lots of different things you can do there. And then you can kind of see some of the questions that I was asking over here running down the side here. So before I really get lost in the sauce on that, because and we can all get lost in the sauce on that. I'm going to come back to the homepage here and just remind you that that's an agent you can really play with and ask some incredible questions, get some great data. So from here, I'm going to talk about setting up your homepage. If you're logged in and you're following along with me and you don't see it set up this way, hit your templates button here, select BD Professional, and this is going to be the way that you set up your homepage to be looking exactly the way mine does. And I'm going to tell you why this matters. So across the top, I'm kind of well known for putting together a go-to-market framework that now I run a consulting business on and help companies understand what that means. So really, it's your engine in between a lot of the different functions. So if you really are in a reactive mode, you respond to an RFI, you hang around, you wait, you're like, okay, the government's going to put out an RFP. You didn't do anything. You literally didn't touch it since the RFI. RFP drops. Oh my God, they moved it from this vehicle to this vehicle. It went service disabled veteran owned. We don't have a service disabled veteran owned partner. Hot mess. So this is the old way of doing it. The engine in go-to-market sits in the middle and you have them all these different functions working together. But really, the go-to-market engine sits in the middle, and that's where G2X sits. So think about it this way. These are your events running across the top. And I'm going to open one of these. I'm going to open DOTUS, which is a huge event down in, I think it's in Tampa this year. It's a DIA event, and it's one of the most attended in industry. You can register now. You can open that event and see where you need to be. This week is going to be pretty huge. There's a lot of different things going on, and you can kind of see where you need to be. 100%, the best way of getting in front of a Govy is to run into them at an event and then start a trust signal relationship and start to understand their needs with the way that they want to do business, and then kind of react to that by building a relationship, right? I'm going to open up the Space and Missile Symposium that's happening in Huntsville next week as well. And you can see that we have all the featured speakers. We have all the panelists. You've got the agenda every single day. So if you're trying to make a case as to why you should go to this, you have your BD intelligence, you've got your sponsors. You can really see, like, is this a trip to Huntsville? Well, if you sell into NASA, Northcom, Spacecom, or MDA, I would say yes. Oh, and by the way, if you're on MDA Shield, you should probably also be down there for this because all of these speakers are going to be talking about that. So going back here, again, G2X as the go-to-market platform, events are a huge piece of that. And over here on the left-hand side, we do have the GovCon calendar. And if you're one of those that likes to see things in Excel, hey, I'm also a 90s baby. Actually, I'm older than that. But I came to start working in the late 90s. So I love to be able to look at things in spreadsheets. This seems to make sense to my brain somehow. So if you wanted to download the entire calendar and then start playing with it from where you need to be when, you can do that here. You can do it by weekday agenda. You can do it virtual, free, or in person. And then as you scroll down, you can open up any one of these and kind of take a look at it from a calendar perspective. You can also keyword search. So if you're only interested in CMS opportunities or particular technologies like cyber, you could put that in there and that would filter all of those out for you. So this is the most robust calendar out there. And I know there's a bunch of them out there, but I do have to say one thing. I've used a lot of these tools. I worked at GovWin for 5 years. I worked at Bloomberg Government. I helped sit on the front end of helping build and ideate BGov, and so when it comes to the usage and the ease of use of the tool and how beautiful it is and how many clicks it takes to get somewhere, G2X is the market leader. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. Trust me. There's a reason that I work here. So I'm going to come on down And I'm going to talk to you guys about how you set this page up and what I did and why did I do it. So contract opportunities are living here. This is a live feed from sam.gov. And these are all the NAICS codes that I set up. This is the slice of the market that I want. So I have 541, 512, 511, 611, 430, and 519. Basically, a pretty wide swath of IT NAICS codes. And then on the contract awards, I set it up to mirror that. So that makes sense in your brain if you're somebody that's in charge of an IT, maybe small, medium-sized business, and you want to be aware of every award that's happening and every opportunity that's coming out right now. So I come in here, and this is why I say leave G2X open on your homepage and come back to it in a tab several times a day, because then you're going to be able, you don't have to go into sam.gov anymore. Praise the Lord, pass the butter. I love my government websites, but what a headache. So you can come in here and have this filtering against your NAICS codes running live, and you can edit your dashboards. And this is how you do it. You hit this edit dashboard, and you're going to see this little thing here, and you can select into any of these NAICS codes and add them in here. You can add keywords, you can add agencies, but I'm going to give you like a little bit of a hot tip here. When you do this, and if you're going to, oops, oh my goodness, what did I just do? Let's hit cancel, edit dashboard. Okay, and we're gonna come in here, this little widget here. Let's add a NAICS code. Let's add 541330. And that's the engineering services NAICS code. We're gonna add it here and hit apply changes. And then you see this button pop up right here. This is important. Hit save, because then that's going to add the 541330. I'm gonna refresh the page, and it's gonna start pulling in those engineering type of opportunities. And we all know that that particular NAICS code is where the government likes to hide things that they want to award to a large business masquerading as a small business, because that's one where it's in 1,000 employees or under. It's not based on the size revenue of a company. That's a GovCon deep cut. You're welcome. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We're going to do it one more time. Edit dashboard, widget. We're going to add in 541330, and we're going to add the engineering NAICS code, hit apply changes, and hit save. So now that I've done that, and if I hit this button here, it's going to be pulling in that NAICS code for the contract awards as well. So going back, now you're looking at a running list of every brand new opportunity and every brand new award that's happening for this NAICS code set. And you can do it by keyword, by customer, by this, by that. And this is going to be giving you that signal hot and fresh on your homepage. You don't have to go anywhere. All right, sweet. So now that we've got that figured out, I do want to show you one thing that I love, and this is what I always do. This is my own workflow, is I come in here several times a day. I'd leave it open in my tabs. I know. Is that good practice? I don't know. I'm not an IT person. So I'm going to open this data engineering management support for the VA, and you're going to see that you have all these things up here that you can do. First things first, you're going to want to watch this opportunity. And if you do that, anytime it gets updated, you get an email that something has changed and that you can come in here and figure out what that is, right? You can add a note, and the cool thing is you can add a note and you can keep it private, or you can tag somebody in your company. Hey, Ron, did you call the CEO on this? Are we responding? And so if I hit this add a note, then it will actually go to Ron directly, and he'll have a chance to respond to it. So you could be doing those workflows inside of the actual opportunity rather than going somewhere else, right? Let's make it smarter, not harder. You can advertise interest and say, hey, we're looking for a teaming, interest on this. We're going to be doing this, and the other thing. And then you hit advertise interest down here, and you're going to show up as looking for a teaming partner, a prime, or a sub on top of here. You can add it to your pipelines. You can share this. You can also copy this record. And anytime you see these little boxes here, this is going to give you that copy this number right here. So you can actually drop it in and put it somewhere else. So the most important thing, though, as I was trying to explain from like a workflow perspective, this is what I do. I'll find an interesting looking opportunity, and I'll be like, I need to know more about this. But what I don't want to do is download this document, read it, preview it, any of that stuff. I don't want to do any of that. I want to do work smarter, not harder. Hit this Ask Lumen button, and you can see we're giving you a little bit of hints about what you can ask. I'm going to ask, what is this notice about? And it's going to go automatically pull up the attachment. You can see right here that there's an attachment here, right? So it's going to read that attachment, and it's going to give you a really quick overview. Because if you think about it, when you're looking at opportunities, we're constantly trying to gate Do we care? Yes or no? And ultimately, the difference between winning and losing is how fast did we get there? Because every opportunity that you no bid in the process of your gate reviews allows the opportunity to bring in one that you can win, right? So basically, this is a special notice amendment, not the actual solicitation. It tells everybody that the RFQ connected to the earlier was posted on August 3rd. So this is basically like a government update, right? Okay, cool. So now that I know that, I could either open that, read it, whatever. So again, I'm going to go back. See, I used to be a teacher, so I keep going back just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. The way that we got there, because this is a workflow, right? We found a cool opportunity, this is a different one. And then we did Ask Lumen, and we also realized that we could put a watch on here, and we did all the things. And that's how we did it. So every time I do this, somebody asks me the same question. I'm going to surface that question and ask you in case it was in your head and you didn't have enough time to type it out. So the question is, how do I get back to seeing this on SAM? So it's right here in the middle. View on sam.gov, you hit that, it takes you directly there. So don't think that we're sending you on a wild goose chase. We're always going to send you right back to the source. Okay, so let's scroll down because I went on a little bit of a tangent there. On your homepage, if you scroll on down, you're going to have all the curated intelligence down here for you. And I actually edited mine, and I'll tell you why. Because the curated intelligence includes awards and opportunities, right? But if you are on top of it, looking at this, you no longer need to have the awards and opportunities being filtered to you on your homepage because you're looking at them up there, right? So I actually edited mine to only show me industry moves, news, events, protests, industry moves. I already said industry moves and news. So yeah, it's basically the things besides what's already up there. So you can kind of see that Artem has a new director of BD. Okay. And Artem's one of those sleeper cell companies, literally, that is doing so much that you should be paying attention to what that company's doing. They're doing a lot of smart stuff. Booz Allen looks like ServiceNow has a new marketing officer, chief marketing officer. That's interesting. Lots of things happening down here. So, you know what I usually do is I usually scan down here to see if the protest CFPB opportunity protests, no surprise there. Um, and and I kind of try to put in my brain together like, why would I care? What's the signal? What's it shit telling me what to do? So for example, this Databricks one here, I'll bet you dollars to donuts, this is actually a government person moving over to Databricks. Let's see. Am I right about that? No, I'm not. Well, maybe. He looks like he was maybe quasi-government before. But Databricks, I know, is hiring a lot of former Govies. So if you open up any of these industry moves, you can save this bookmark stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, you want to bookmark stuff if you want to find it again. That's what I always do because I'm like, I will lose this and never see it again. You can do the same things up here. You can actually see from a Databricks perspective, you can pop directly into their government, their GovCon directory, which we're going to talk a lot about in just a second. You can actually click the Jeff Chow here and it will go to his LinkedIn. So I do want to tell you that we track anytime the government goes to industry or industry goes to government. And we track all of the technology companies, the movings around, right? So if you were to apply your strategy brain to this is huge. And people miss out on the point of this. This is another go-to-market thing. And it's on the strategy side, on the stratcom side. Who are you talking to? What are you talking to them about? How does that pertain to your pipeline, right? If you see somebody move from the government to a GovCon leader, and you better tell yourself, like, if that's a cyber person, they're starting a cyber practice, right? Like that's the kind of signals that you just need to be aware of. All right, so now you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, Alexa, you've done a lot of talking about the homepage. Great. And now that we know how to edit these widgets, we can make all this work for us. Excellent. Moving on. We talk about curated intelligence. We do funnel them into three different markets. So you have health, fed, civ, and defense. We know that most people, when they're inside of G2X, ask us how we know, because we've been doing this for, 10, 12 years, do fall within one of these three. Sometimes all three, but a lot of times they're in one of these three or two of the three, right? So I'm going to pop into Fed Civ and I'm going to show you what this looks like. So we do have a team of people that put this together. And it's all of the things when you pop in here. So you can see awards happening, you've got industry moves, you've got protests, and you can see the different colored tags kind of telling you what the data is. So if we come in here, you can see that you can save the view, you can add filters, you can do all this. You can search the data by different things. And I'm going to just open up an award and show you what this looks like. This is a big counter unmanned aircraft award for software development, and it was a pretty big deal. And you can come down here, and these tiny companies never heard of them, Lidos, I'm just kidding. I make myself laugh at least. Hopefully somebody's out there laughing. But let's look at this from a strategy lens. Got a bunch of usual suspects. This one is not one that I have seen in an award like this, though. Anduril, I mean, it's not a surprise to me, but I don't know that they've won a lot of deals that look exactly like this. So is this a new market for them? Is it a new area? Who knows? That's another piece of research you can do inside of here super easily. So how? I'll show you. Recent awards in the same NAICS code, you can kind of see who's winning what in this NAICS code, so you can start to think in that slice view. Um, and then you can pop on down and see all kinds of information as you scroll down. Like it just gets deeper and deeper. You can go really down the rabbit hole. We just clicked on one award from one company, well, one deal, I guess it was several companies, to kind of just keep going down the rabbit hole into more and more information. So I always feel like this day and age, the information is not the problem. It's what do you do with the information? That's the real question, right? So I'm going to move on from that. And before I do, I always like to pause here and just ask if there's any questions because I've covered about 42 different things at this point in time.
Don't see anything.
No questions? Okay, I will keep on trucking. And I'm almost halfway through, so good. I think I'm on track too. Excellent. It's almost like I've done this before. Pipelines is, I want you to think about pipelines as a way to pull opportunities into a Kanban structure that makes sense to you. And, I love our pipelines, and I think that if I was still working on the company side, I could do a full gate review from here, but everybody has their own methods and ways. And so with that, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to go into AI Ops, and I'm going to open up this one here. So you can kind of see, like I was saying, it looks like a regular Kanban, the way that we set our pipelines up. So I'm going to pop open this one here, and you're going to see that it opens up into a view that you're used to seeing from the opportunities, right? And I could ask Lumen here, and it's going to open up that same agent on the side. So I want you to kind of be used to seeing this agent and asking it questions at different parts in the system, because your process on your side might be different when you're in different pieces of the system looking for different information. So you absolutely can open Ask Lumen from here as well. So we're going to come on down. It's going to give you everything. So this is Homeland Security, and it looks like they have Q&A attached here. I'm going to go into activity. You can actually write a note, keep it private, keep it saved. You can assign a task. You can add a task and assign it to anybody on your team to do medium priority. You can assign it. So these are all the people that are on my team. I can assign it to anybody here. And then you've got your gates. Yep, the pipeline admin can add a stage gate. You can add your properties, and these are all your critical decision factors. Like, are you gonna how's it coming out? The contract vehicle are you gonna prime it? Are you gonna sub it? What's the down here in the strategic fields and the supporting information? You can just get real crazy with adding all this stuff. But let me pop into insights. This is the piece that no other pipeline has. And I would love for somebody to challenge me on this and be like, no, this other competing gov fill in the blank tool actually does this. You can add insights. Was there a question that just came in, Marianne?
How do I add team members?
So do you say, I'm not sure if this means add team members like from your company or from other companies? Do you mean from your company or other companies? Okay, well, let me go into both of those.
My company.
Okay, cool. Well, that's easy. From your company, you actually don't have to do anything. It's already in here. So you can see, and we do have guest contributors as well. So the guest people, if you wanted, let's just say you had a teaming partner. Ron is on the call and he'll tell me if this is true, but we have a thing that we're building where you can build a handshake between companies. You can
That's
share
right.
tasks, and you can also share pipeline opportunities as well. So, but anybody that's assigned to your team will end up in this drop down list, and you can assign them tasks within here. So you don't, if it's on your team specifically, you do not have to add them in here. They're already there inside of your task list.
And Alexa, maybe it's helpful to show, in the settings and administration
Oh
of
yeah.
the account, just how to add folks.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Oh, that's a really good point, Ron. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I just jump in so technical that like I forget that people do things besides run BD and capture. People do other things? What? Weird. All right. So if you scroll down here to the bottom, you've got your settings. You can always go dark mode too if you want. I'm a light mode person, but I know there's dark mode people out there. So you can pop in here into members. And that's going to bring up everybody that's in your account. And you can give people eBuy access. And eBuy is something we're going to talk about. You can remove them from your account as well. And you can do all kinds of stuff in here. You can add members up here at the top. So you really do have membership management built into your account. And the way that I got there, again, was down here on the bottom left, settings, account. And if you go into the account itself, it's going to give you like your profile. And you can update your profile. You can connect different accounts. You can create an API key. You can do all kinds of stuff. But if you want to go into the members from your account, who's attached to your account, it's in the membership piece. All right, cool. So we talked about all the pipeline stuff. Thank you for asking that. BidHub, I do want to say, especially since Ron is here, that we do have a tool that does the writing of your proposals with you. I wouldn't say for you, I would say with you, because there always needs to be a human in that loop. But this is really something that we're doing by demo only, and Ron Jones is behind all of that. So you can book a BidHub demo walkthrough here, and he will walk you through that. So that lives over here. And if that's something that you're interested in, definitely take him up on that. And
and
that,
another thing too, Alexa, just to point out, it also does bid qualification, and there's an entire process to set it up to get it working correctly. Well, it'll work without doing the initial setup, but you want to give the AI context about what your company does, what you're interested in pursuing, and you can also qualify opportunities that are in any of the opportunity surfaces, whether it's SAM, SLED, DLA divs, eBuy, whatever the case may be. Just one click opportunity qualification that it does too. And if you decide to go after an opportunity that you've qualified, you can then help. You can then have AI help draft a proposal with you. Like I said, like Alexa said, with, not for, because we just on principle believe that you need to have humans in the loop for this kind of thing. And I think, Alexa, you can probably give some feedback from the NCMA conference you were recently at, where government evaluators are getting pretty weary of AI generated content, right? So that's another topic that we could spend a lot of time on, but just want to make sure that folks understand the full breadth and depth of the feature.
right. Yeah, no, Ron, thank you for that. Absolutely. At NCMA, I was speaking there recently about the FAR changes and how go-to-market really aligns to the FAR changes. That was my topic, but there was a lot of conversations around contractors using AI without reviewing it and just dumping it into some tool, pulling something out of it, and then skipping the Shipley color team reviews and sending it to the government. Please don't do that. Also, I do have a theory about the color team reviews that instead of like blue, pink, red, blah, 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 I think it should become like a confetti team review. And so I have a whole theory and framework around that. But that's neither here nor there. So let me continue. Thanks, Ron.
It looks like we did get a question from
Okay.
Chandra, AI frontier models. So we use a couple of models. We use models by OpenAI. We use models by Google. We do not put Anthropic models in production, for user-facing things. It's unfortunately, there's a lot of political ramifications to that right now. And we also use US made open source models. There are a few that we do use, some that we have fine tuned. And yeah, so there's a mix. I hope that helps, Chandra.
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think that's a really great question. I'm going to scroll down on the watch list here. If you scroll down, you can see every single thing that you have kind of put a watch on. And you can, like, whether it's a company, whether it's an award, you can see how it's going to send you like the different notifications. You can view it and you can remove it. This is by far the best way to stay on top of the different things that you care about. And I'm just going to open this particular one to show you why you might care. This was something that this is one of NASA's bigger contracts. It's 2 billion here, as you can see. And the company that came out and swept it with a win was Khaki with almost zero NASA past performance. It was an incredible story, actually. If you ever want me to bore you with that story, I would love to. But that's you can keep watch of this and you'll get a notice every time they get money. So I'm going to give you a workflow and a use case as to why you should care, right? So I actually won the SEC 1IT vehicle when I was working for my previous company, and I had 10 teaming partners, right? And really, the way that I managed that vehicle and got everybody involved with bringing their work to the vehicle and this and that, what made me realize that people really care about the access to the data, right? So if, for example, you're on a BPA and you have a feeling that your prime's not sharing everything with you, put a watch list on the BPA award, and then you'll get an email anytime any funds are added to it. You could be like, oh, definitely didn't see that task order come my way for the ability to work with them. So it's a great way of holding your primes accountable. Alrighty, let's keep going. We're going to pop into the GovCon directory, and this is someplace I like to spend a lot of time because it's one of my favorite areas within G2X, and I do a lot of my own black hat stuff. I do help companies run capture from time to time in the consulting side of the house. And so I'll show you how I use it. So I popped into the GovCon directory here, and you're going to see these companies up here on the top are what's trending. And that just means how many people are looking at them, right? We added in this new ability to search by almost anything. And I'll close this because I'm going to show you that we're giving you some ideas here at the top. So, a DoD logistics specialist, HHS consulting leaders, DOE engineering firms. So I'm going to click on one of these. HHS Consulting Leaders is going to immediately pop up and tell you relevant obligations to that question. How much work has been doing. So you can see 541611 consulting, right? HHS, agency past performance. And then it's going to be plus 5+ awards in that space, makes them probably a leader in that space. So it gives you all of that right here at your fingertips. So you've got 32 pages of HHS consulting leaders. So if somebody's like, hey, I need to know the DOE engineering firms. I need you to find that market out for me. Bam, one click, you have the data. Super helpful. Great. If you're not sure what you're looking for, this will help you find it. So I'm just going to go back to the top level here and what I did to do that was I just came back and just clicked on organizational search there, and it takes us back here, clean and good. All right, I'm going to pull up a company that I know well, and I'm going to walk you through the profile here. So Visual Connections is a service-disabled, veteran-owned company that is a T4NG2 Prime with one of their JVs. So I like to show this one just because they have a lot of joint ventures, they've got a lot of teaming partners, and it can help me show you why you can care and how you can use this. So imagine you're looking at an Alaska Native company and they've got 300 subsidiaries, and you're not sure which one of their subsidiaries is going to compete with you on an upcoming deal. This happens a lot. Not sometimes, a lot. So we've got their teaming partners. These are the big companies that Visual Connections has worked with in the past, right? And we're going to come down here. These are their, if it says subsidiary, this means they're a JV. And the cool thing is, VCH Partners is a $35.7 million JV, and Vets2 Synergy is a $20.2 million JV. So, one of these, and I think it's Vets2 Synergy, is the prime on T4NG2. And you can put a watch on these as well. So now you know where their JVs are. And this is another JV. And so you can really understand the JV space between these companies. And you can come down here and you can take a look and see their, year over year. I always do it on the 5-year one because that helps tell us whether they're a large or a small business. But remember, if you're looking at Visual Connections and you're like, wow, it looks like they're not getting a lot of prime revenue these days. Remember, they've got JVs that are very active and out there crushing it. So what they probably did was put a focus on that. right? And that's some strategic deep level GovCon cuts. But Visual Connections by themselves has a very healthy portfolio across all three, FedCiv, Health IT, and DoD. And if we come on down, you can see right here who has funded them, actual funding. And this is really great because a lot of times if you don't understand how to read government funding data, ask Doge, you're going to make a lot of assumptions about where the data is coming from and who actually owns it. So, for example, funding agency, right? Versus awarding agency. Now that a lot of things are being moved to GSA, if you're just looking at the funding, if you're not looking at the funding agency and you're looking at the awarded agency, you're like, wow, GSA buys a lot of stuff. Yeah, but they're not paying for it, right? Who's actually paying for it? Who's the funding agency behind it? Who has the budget? What budget is this coming out of? Now you have your budget data. And if you come down here, you can see every single company and their sub awards as well. So this is kind of like the slow, use your brain, take your brain to work kind of way of doing it. You can see everybody that they're teamed with and the revenue that came in for it. And you can click into any of these as well, go down some really deep rabbit holes. But what I like to do is come up here, ask Lumen, hey, just summarize this company's profile for me because I don't have the brain power to go through every single one of those steps on every single one of these companies. So while this is pulling this up, I wanted to walk you through my black hat workflow. So I was running some capture for a deal for DIA, right? $100 million. And I pulled up, well, actually, DIA is a really bad example. That's sort of semi-quasi Intel. Let me choose an agency that's not. DISA. Okay, cool. We'll talk about DISA. Fourth Estate, DISA. I was running a $100 million capture for DISA, and I got a list of companies. This was a PMO deal, PMO recompete. So I really needed to understand against my service disabled veteran owned competitors who had a perception based on past performance in that portfolio that I needed to put on my black hat slides. It wasn't like I needed it to fill it out for me. I just needed to know who was a player that was even on the board, right? So what I did was I pulled a list of SDVOSBs like from a previous screen, right? SDVOSB, DISA, easy. Now I got my list. And then I was like, okay, filter by value. So now I got my bigger SDVOSBs. Okay, cool. So I got maybe five or six of them. Now I know who's on the table. Then I would come in here and I would ask every single one of them, okay, what can you tell me? You tell me about this company's.
And Alexa, if you don't mind, while you're doing that, I want to chime in really quick
Sure.
about the agents. This feature is in public preview. As you probably saw, there's a refusal that it gave, which is just an abuse prevention thing, a little bit overactive. So it is in public preview, and it will remain included in all plans while in the public preview period. And so we're actively adding more and more capabilities to the agents every single day. So what Alexa's showing here is a small subset of what it does, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no, that's great, Ron. Yeah, if you think about it, really, what G2X does is it gives you the ability to surface the go-to-market signals you need to make the decisions that you need to make. So right now it's researching Visual Connections CMS portfolio. And it looks like there's something going on here, but more every single time I've used this, it's like their portfolio is six contracts, doing this, doing that. From an outside perspective, they're doing this kind of work. And that's exactly what I need for my black hat research. So I'm going to move on from there and I'm going to go into, and kind of notice that the site is broken down into explore, work, research, and so that's kind of like done that way very specifically. So in under research is where you're going to find your claimed profiles. And this is anywhere where you have a claimed profile. So G2X, I'm logged into my G2X account, and that's what it's saying is the account here. Your organization search is like what you were doing over there. And then I'm going to pop into some of the other areas, which are the SAM.gov eBuy sled, forecast, DIBS, SIBR, etc., and grants. So before I dive into this with any like great detail, I just want to say at the top level, I'm not going to go into every single one of these, but I did want to spend some time explaining what they are. So SAM.gov is pretty self-explanatory. GSA eBuy, we have to activate that for you on our side. So that does require another touch point with Ron to get the information in and connect your company. And then if you remember in the accounts, you get to say who has access to your eBuy data or not. And I don't know if you guys remember me telling you guys we're building that company handshake thing too. That's going to apply to eBuy as well. So imagine you have a couple of companies that you're teamed with on Oasis, right? And you want to be able to share those with the teaming partners on Oasis. So then you can add that company handshake and then say yes to your eBuy data. But maybe you don't want to share everything with them. You don't want to share your pipelines and this and that. You just want to share the eBuy stuff with them. So we're going to be building all of that out. And that's one of the things that's coming. We do have SLED information in here, and the SLED information is included for free. So here it is. And you can kind of come down in here and take a look. There's actually a lot of information in here, and it's very useful data as well. So you can add notes here, you can share it. This one doesn't look like it has any documents, but you can always pop into where the original solicitation came out of and be able to find that opportunity there as well. So then we got the forecast data. I think most people are aware of the GSA gateway and different procurement forecasts. We've pulled together all the different forecast data and put it into one place for you. And then, if once you get used to using our filters and the saved views, you can kind of do that. And then just to let you know, you can actually pull any one of these and move it around. So if you wanted to see the NAICS code before the source, you can do that. And you can kind of come in here and play around with that. DLA Dibs is, yeah, I mean, for the folks that know, DLA is a buyer of, they basically supply the entire military with what the military needs. So they're a gigantic logistics buyer and logistics agency. And so this is just a running list of what they're buying. SIBR and SITR is, SIBR on the SIBR side, it's those small business kind of innovation research, small dollars. There's 3 different levels of them, and SITR is the education version of that. So that's all there. So if you pop into sam.gov, we got some pretty cool stuff in here on how this works. And I'll kind of show you. And once you get used to, as I was saying, the way that our filters work and our saved views, you really can't go wrong. You can start, and I want to actually encourage everybody to get in here. You can't break the system. And if you do break it, then let us know, right? Hit that contact support button and say, hey, this is throwing me a 404 right here. And we have a whole help desk team around the actual engineering team as well, where we have, different incidents that pop up with different things, and we handle it right away. So we do have a very good setup for that. So you can come in here and see we've got the NAICS code showing immediately. You can see the set-asides right here as well, the response deadline. I don't think I've seen this many no set-asides being used in a long time. Man, the world is changing, y'all. It's changing. So I'm going to pop in here and just add a filter. I'm going to add a NAICS code. Now remember, if you had this on your homepage, theoretically, you wouldn't need to do this, right? You can come in here and all right, let's take a look at Pinnacles. Why not? They actually did something that wasn't through Scattered Castles. Yeah, interesting. So this is the sources sought from NGA. You can again pop up here, Ask Lumen. You can put a watch list on it, add a note, add a pipeline, do all the things, 12 days remaining. You can pop into sam.gov and view the actual source. If you did want to pop into the agency page, that's actually where I was going to go next, is that you've got a lot more data down here that you can really pop into from a NAICS code perspective. And I'm gonna actually pop into the NAICS codes and show you, but the PSC codes, agencies, awards, the awards database is broken down into a lot of different things as well. You can really go into a GovCon nerd level and, be looking at the OTAs and the OTI DVs. What is an OTI DV? If I was playing GovCon Jeopardy, that might be a daily double. So we broke it out by the actual contracts themselves and by the vehicles. So you could then start putting a watch list on the things that you care about, right? So you've got all your different awards running down here, and this is pretty much real time. And you've got your vehicles as well. So you can come in here and see what these are and add your watch lists on these. IDV awards. And then I'm going to pop into the NAICS codes and just show you guys this because it is pretty cool. And I also want to like validate a theory that I have right now and something I was talking to somebody about yesterday. Oh, yeah, it was yesterday. And that is that 541,611 took a big hit in 25, as you can see, right? It like almost halved itself. But then it dropped down again in 26. But I have to tell you, this next code is coming back in a big way. But who's the biggest buyer of this next code? And then, like, how are they buying this next code? Who are they awarding this next code to? Right? So it's just another slice of the data. You've got it right here. And then, like, what is the related news to this next code? All kinds of stuff happening here. So with that, I'm going to come back to the homepage. I've got 15 minutes to answer questions. Um, and yeah, the floor is open for questions. If we don't have any questions, then I'm going to have Ron talk about the roadmap. Okay, Ron, over to you.
Great, great. Thanks, Alexa, for first off the whole training and walkthrough and the insights around go to market and how the landscape is changing. So, and I'll be brief here. I know that we've spent a lot of time together today. But long story short, G2X, as Alexa hinted at, started as a community newsletter kind of thing. It was a great community platform that had great distribution and good community, good following, and folks started to ask for more. And as the cost of developing software and the cost of developing tools has and continues to decrease. The barrier of entry continues to lower. Folks are expecting more, right? So one of the first things we did was expand the capabilities of market intelligence, and through many different sources. One thing that you guys didn't see today, for example, which will be live on the platform in about a day or two, is protest data. So all of the court of federal claims, GAO protest data, and AI analysis of the protest data will be there. And we're just adding tons and tons of data that people find relevant. I think Alexa spent a little bit of time on budget accounts, right? Federal budget accounts, which is something that folks are starting to track more and more frequently. That's something that we added this week, actually. And the whole idea there, though, is why we're adding all this data is to create pretty much a knowledge graph of federal contracting and adjacent data. Um, and what's important about that, if folks are familiar with Palantir and their products around ontologies and knowledge graphs, we think about things similarly because when you have agents, AI agents that are traversing all this data, it's not really helpful unless you have something that you're going to do with that information, right? There's a lot of fire hose platforms and data sources. USA spinning alone, right? It's just a ton of data. But what we're trying to do is create a substrate such that folks can find signal out of data. We are adding, as you saw, and improving on our own agents, right, that live on the platform. But we also don't want to hamstring people from, not being able, or by not making sure that they're not able to use their own platforms they've standardized around. So lots of folks have, Enterprise Gemini and Claude subscriptions and Chat GPT subscriptions. So we're building that substrate so that the future of the way people are working is easily enabled by our platform. And I think another take, that may be controversial, but I do believe this: the standard user interface as we know it is changing. With the advent of the frontier AI labs, the way people find information is changing. I don't know if folks have seen some of the recent, kind of public polls about how people use AI, and many have, replaced Chat GPT or replaced Google search with Chat GPT or Claude, things like that. So you think about, the way that people do or have done business development and capture research traditionally, that's more and more often being funneled through those platforms. As a matter of fact, we're getting double-digit month-over-month increases of traffic through those platforms. So people are using, the big three AI platforms to find information on G2X today. So what we're trying to do, long story short, is to make that more and more simple, more and more intuitive, and make it so that folks get further and further away from having to ask questions and into more of a done for you kind of state, which I think is the promise of, agents. When people talk about agents, that's mainly the promise, right? Like something that's going to go do things on your behalf, that understands the way you work, understands what you care about, understands what you need to accomplish. So without, keeping you guys too much longer, that's pretty much where we're going.
Awesome. Cool. Let's
Oh, great. Thanks,
go
Jelani.
ahead.
Saw your comment. Yeah, and so the other thing too is, guys, you can reach out to me directly. I'll put my email in the chat. You should see it on the invite, but I'll just put a
Ron,
note.
while you're doing that, I want to say one thing. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I'm not gonna call her out, but anyway, she was saying that she uses and trusts ChatGPT with all kinds of questions relating to government contracting data. I have to say, as somebody that does this for a living and is a paid consultant, you need to be asking the questions on a platform that is connected to the data. Because
That's
I had a whole argument with Claude the other day when he tried to tell me that this isn't a pre-solicitation. You can't threaten to protest. Like, look, Claude, pre-award protest is a whole entire strategy. Work with me, bro. So literally, if you don't know enough about the data, when you can eyeball it and say this is wrong, the data that you pull out is likely going to be wrong. So ask your questions in a system like G2X, or actually just do it in G2X. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll be
Um,
able to pretty soon here do it in Claude or ChatGPT. But the most important thing to note is that, data provenance is what Alexa's talking about.
yeah.
And if your answers don't have citations that lead back to the original source, not speculation, not a news site, not, something like that, where in the official government data does this information come from? And if the AI you're using doesn't do that, then you're probably going to have a bad time.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I just want to say that, I've never, since my ex-boyfriend, I've never seen a system be confidently wrong like that. Like, why are you so confidently wrong? And then it will come back be like, "Oh, my bad." And I'm like, "No, dude, you cost me this contract. It's more than my bad." Like the decisions you're making off it are so important that you have to be sure that you're right. So when I pull data for a customer, I'm double checking, I'm triple checking, and if I wouldn't stake my reputation on it, I can't send that to a customer. So
Right.
the only way to do that is to do it on a source that you can trust. And there's a lot of tools out there nowadays, and there's a couple of them that people love, and I'm always like, how right is the data? That's the question.
Alexa, while we're here, I mean, you were at NCMA World Congress, right? All of the 1102s and that entire community. What have you heard, and what's the future of, the AI proposal writing boom? And I have my own opinion about it. And I guess I'll start with that. I mean, if I were tasked with reviewing all the slop that's coming out of, when it comes to AI proposals, I'd be asking for more oral presentations. I think orals are due to make a significant comeback.
Yeah, and
Um,
also
Show me, don't tell me.
down selected solicitations where they do first step is past performance, next step is your technical, third step is price, and then we're going to invite you in here to build something. Hand us the keys to an MVP. 100% the industry is moving in that direction. The faster
And,
you can move, the better you're going to be.
and how do you feel about, so that's like IT and building software. How does that translate to construction and facilities management, all those things? I'm
Yeah.
sure they're using AI proposal writing tools too, but how do you prove you're the right person or the right company for the opportunity?
Yeah, for me,
And
Ron, it always comes back to relationships. You have to have a relationship with not just the CO and the cores, although that's important, and that's why I speak at World Congress. But it's important to know behind the scenes who your actual customer is and what their pain points are. And quite frankly, AI is going to be impacting these industries in such an interesting way. So earlier this year, I spoke at a temporary housing conference in San Diego, and I did a whole presentation about how now that every proposal is going to look the same, assume that. Assume every proposal is going to look the same. What's your differentiator? Well, maybe you're going to hand the government an app that you built that they can use to then check into the room that you're giving them, and it has all the emergency contact information and ways that you can chat with somebody live. Now you're playing a different game. Everybody else is playing checkers and you're playing three-dimensional chess. And that's the kind of thinking that you want to be above and beyond is like, okay, now that imagine table stakes, everybody's going to write like a compliant proposal, right? Hopefully. I mean, I've seen some things, right? But if everybody writes a compliant proposal, how are you going to be the one that stands out? And some of that goes back to go to market, Ron, from like a stratcom and branding perspective as well. And people don't want to do those things because now that AI is out here, they're like, oh, I have a Claude design, membership. I'm a brander now. Like, please, for the love of God,
Oh
hire
yeah, I mean, so it's kind of the, the
job.
Dunning-Kruger effect at play. I mean, AI in capable hands is in many professions, many white collar professions going to create extreme leverage for you. But if you are not that good in the first place, it's not going to do anything. As a matter of fact, it may be net harmful for
It's
you.
going to make it worse. So hire a professional to do a professional's job. Hire a branding company to do your branding. Somebody that is going to make you look and feel and punch above your weight class and is going to tell you like, hey, if this whole color scheme, like color is 90% of why somebody buys something. But if you didn't know that, if you're not a branding color expert, somebody that knows what pushes the needle to get people to buy, then you might have missed this whole opportunity. So Stratcom, branding, all of this needs to go events, your event strategy, your pipeline development, like how all this works with your go-to-market sitting right in the middle. It's all very important.
Yeah.
Cool. I really want to appreciate and say just thank you everybody to attending, Ron and I's very long TED Talk today. It's great to see everybody.
And we'll save the rest for the podcast. We're starting a podcast, by the way. So more on that soon.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great day and reach out to see if I have any questions. Appreciate it, Ron. Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks, Alexa. Thanks, Tracy, Marianne. Take care.